In the roaring 1950s, American automakers began a quiet war, not for luxury, but for speed. Beneath the chrome and tailfins, a new breed of cars emerged, built to dominate drag strips and highways alike. From supercharged underdogs to luxury coupes with race-bred engines, these machines redefined performance for a new generation. Join us as we count down the 27 fastest American cars of the 1950s over the quarter mile, where innovation met horsepower and legends were born one stoplight at a time. Number 27, 1955 Studebaker Commander V8. Quarter mile time, 18.1 seconds. At a time when the American auto industry was defined by heavyweight cruisers and chrome-laden designs, the 1955 Studebaker Commander V8 offered something different, a streamlined silhouette matched with surprising performance. The car's 259 cubic and CHV8 was no fire breather by muscle car standards, but it was more than capable when paired with Studebaker's relatively lightweight frame. With 185 horsepower and respectable torque delivery, the Commander carved out a niche as a performance sleeper in an era where size often trumped speed. What made the Commander particularly interesting was its engineering emphasis on balance rather than brute force. Unlike some of its contemporaries, which relied solely on raw displacement, the Commander's performance was aided by a focus on weight savings and efficient gearing. Studebaker's use of a smaller body helped it outperform larger competitors with similar or even greater horsepower ratings over short distances like the quarter mile. The car's 18.1-second quarter-mile time might not impress by modern standards, but for the mid-1950s, it reflected serious intent for a mid-priced American sedan. Styling also played a role in the car's identity. The 1955 model featured clean lines, a wide grille, and a sleek roofline, giving it an aerodynamic edge uncommon among more bulbous contemporaries. Though it didn't carry the brand prestige of Ford or Chevrolet, the Commander developed a quiet following among drivers who appreciated Studebaker's innovative spirit and focus on practical performance. It also featured an available overdrive transmission, which enhanced its cruising efficiency and acceleration profile. While the Commander V8 didn't claim headlines for top-end performance, it was a symbol of thoughtful engineering during a time when the big three automakers dominated the performance narrative. It demonstrated that even independent manufacturers could build cars capable of surprising acceleration when form, function, and engineering align. In many ways, it foreshadowed the rise of compact performance cars that would later define other automotive eras. Number 26, 1954 Nash Ambassador. Quarter mile time, 18.0 seconds. The 1954 Nash Ambassador stood out in the crowded American car market of the early 1950s, not because of outlandish horsepower or aggressive styling, but due to its clever engineering and aerodynamic efficiency. Beneath its sleek and somewhat futuristic exterior lay a 252 cubic and CH inline-six engine, a power plant that emphasized smoothness and reliability. While most performance cars of the decade relied on V8s for quarter-mile dominance, Nash took a different route by refining its straight-six for balance, torque, and respectable acceleration. With 130 horsepower on tap, the Ambassador was never intended to be a drag strip hero, but its 18.0-second quarter-mile time placed it right among the quicker sedans of its class. The Ambassador's edge came from its design. Nash was one of the few manufacturers in the 1950s to treat aerodynamics seriously, employing wind tunnel testing and crafting a unibody structure that reduced both drag and weight. Its air-flight styling, though polarizing to some, offered tangible performance benefits. The car's enclosed front wheels, sloped windshield, and streamlined roofline all contributed to smoother airflow, elements that not only improved fuel efficiency, but also gave the Ambassador an edge in sustained high-speed cruising and acceleration off the line. Inside, the Ambassador continued its theme of quiet innovation. The cabin was refined, featuring options such as reclining seats and advanced heating and ventilation systems for the era. This balance of comfort and performance gave the car broad appeal to buyers looking for something different than the standard Ford or Chevy offering. While the Ambassador may not have had the raw muscle of a V8-powered competitor, Its refinement and composure on the road gave it a personality all its own. In a decade increasingly dominated by flash and excess, the 1954 Nash Ambassador remains an underrated chapter in American automotive history. Its 18.0 second quarter mile time isn't remembered with awe today, but it reflected an intelligent approach to performance that prioritized engineering finesse over brute strength. As a result, the Ambassador serves as a reminder that speed isn't always about power. It can also come from efficiency, elegance, and the subtle art of doing more with less. Number 25. 1953 Packard Clipper. Quarter mile time, 17.9 seconds. The 1953 Packard Clipper occupied an interesting position in the early 1950s performance landscape. While Packard was traditionally seen as a purveyor of refined luxury vehicles rather than speed machines, the Clipper quietly defied expectations. Beneath its conservative exterior lay a robust 327 cubic inch inline-8 engine, delivering smooth, torque-rich performance that propelled the car down the quarter mile in a respectable 17.9 seconds. In an era when quarter-mile figures were rarely publicized outside the hot rod community, this made the Clipper one of the quicker, full-size sedans available from a non-Big Three manufacturer. What made the Clipper's performance particularly noteworthy was the refinement with which it delivered speed. The straight-8 engine wasn't designed for high-revving drama, but rather for delivering consistent power throughout the rev range. With 150 horsepower and ample low-end torque, the Clipper offered strong off-the-line performance, especially for a vehicle that emphasized comfort and ride quality. Packard's commitment to engineering precision ensured that the car didn't just move quickly, it did so with grace and composure, a rare feat for its time. The Clipper also benefited from Packard's traditional build quality. Its body-on-frame construction was solid, yet not excessively heavy, allowing the engine to perform without being overwhelmed by mass. A smooth-shifting Ultramatic automatic transmission was optional and contributed to the car's easygoing acceleration profile. While muscle car-style launches weren't its forte, the Clipper could quietly hustle when prompted, making it a sleeper in every sense of the word. Many owners were surprised by just how effortlessly it could keep pace with or outrun rival offerings from Buick or Chrysler. Visually, the 1953 Clipper exuded understated elegance. Its clean lines, broad grille, and integrated rear fenders gave it a dignified appearance, belying the capable power plant underneath. This duality of luxury and latent performance captured what made Packard special during its final independent years. Though overshadowed by louder, flashier competitors, the 1953 Clipper carved out a quiet legacy as a refined performer. For drivers who appreciated speed without sacrificing sophistication, the Clipper offered a rare blend, old-world craftsmanship paired with just enough muscle to make an impression at the stoplight. Number 24. 1953 DeSoto Fire Dome. Quarter mile time, 17.8 seconds. The 1953 DeSoto Fire Dome was more than just a new model, it was a statement of intent. After years of playing a supporting role in Chrysler's corporate hierarchy, DeSoto was finally handed a performance tool that could turn heads and burn rubber, the 276 cubic inch Hemi V8. Dubbed the Fire Dome engine, it was DeSoto's version of the revolutionary hemispherical combustion chamber technology that had debuted in the Chrysler New Yorker just 2 years earlier. With 160 horsepower and a broad torque curve, this engine helped the Fire Dome achieve a quarter-mile time of 17.8 seconds, impressive for a mid-priced full-size sedan in the early 1950s. The introduction of the Hemi V8 fundamentally transformed DeSoto's image. Prior to 1953, the brand had largely been associated with comfortable, modestly powered cars aimed at conservative buyers. But the Fire Dome engine brought newfound performance credibility. Its efficient combustion design not only improved power output, but also allowed for smoother and more reliable operation at higher speeds. In daily driving, the Fire Dome felt lively and responsive, with plenty of torque available at low RPMs, a characteristic that translated well to quick acceleration from a stop, which is exactly what made it a contender in quarter-mile performance among its peers. Beyond the engine, the Firedome was well engineered for its time. Dotto used a sturdy chassis with improved suspension geometry, providing a relatively smooth and controlled ride for a car of its size. A 3-speed manual transmission was standard, but the PowerFlight automatic made the car more approachable for mainstream drivers. While it didn't have the low curb weight of a Studebaker or the raw muscle of a Chrysler 300, the Firedome struck a balanced chord between comfort and speed. It was a family car that just happened to be fast, an early precursor to the concept that would later define the muscle car era. Stylistically, the Firedome was in step with Chrysler's forward-look philosophy, though it hadn't yet reached the dramatic fins and flair of the later decade. Its clean lines, modest chrome accents, and wide stands gave it a confident presence. For many buyers, the Firedome offered the perfect blend of luxury, innovation, and emerging performance. It wasn't just a car that got you to your destination. It did so with a bit of flair, backed by a Hemi rumble that hinted at more excitement than most Dottos before it ever promised. Number 23. 1951 Chrysler New Yorker. Quarter-mile time, 17.7 seconds. In 1951, Chrysler didn't just release a new version of the New Yorker, it introduced a game-changer. The highlight of this otherwise elegant, upscale sedan was the debut of Chrysler's groundbreaking 331 cubic in CH firepower Hemi V8. With 180 horsepower and a design that favored efficient combustion and high rev capability, this was no ordinary engine. It marked the first time an overhead valve V8 with hemispherical combustion chambers had been installed in a mass-produced American car, signaling a dramatic shift in Chrysler's performance trajectory. In a straight line, the New Yorker could cover the quarter mile in just 17.7 seconds, a highly respectable number for a car of its size and luxury orientation. The firepower Hemi was not merely about raw speed. It represented an engineering philosophy that placed a premium on thermodynamic efficiency and durability. The hemispherical chamber allowed for better airflow and combustion, giving the engine a smoother, more powerful torque curve. In the heavy New Yorker, this meant refined yet assertive acceleration, something few luxury cars could offer at the time. The car's size and weight could have made it feel sluggish, but the Hemi turned it into a surprisingly eager performer on open roads and during quick starts. Chrysler's refinement extended to the New Yorker's chassis and suspension. Though not sporty by any means, the car was designed for stability and composure. The ride was plush but controlled, and the steering, while heavy, offered solid feedback. Buyers who opted for the fluid drive semi-automatic transmission experienced smooth, torque-rich acceleration, aided by the Hemi's broad power band. The New Yorker managed to offer both performance and quiet sophistication, qualities rarely found together in early 1950s sedans. Visually, the 1951 New Yorker carried a dignified, imposing look. Its rounded roofline, wide grille, and restrained use of chrome gave it a presence of authority rather than flamboyance. It was a car for executives and those who wanted refinement, but thanks to the firepower Hemi, it also packed a hidden punch. This combination of innovation, speed, and luxury set the tone for Chrysler's future performance efforts and secured the 1951 New Yorker a spot in automotive history as the car that quietly launched the American horsepower war. Number 22, 1950 Oldsmobile 88. Quarter-mile time, 17.6 seconds. The 1950 Oldsmobile 88 wasn't just a car, it was the beginning of a revolution. Often hailed as America's first true muscle car, the Rocket 88 combined a relatively lightweight body with a potent new overhead valve V8 engine, creating a performance formula that would later define an entire genre. At its heart was the 303 cubic and CH Rocket V8, a groundbreaking power plant that delivered 135 horsepower and excellent torque for its time. Paired with a streamlined A-body shell borrowed from Oldsmobile's smaller 6 Series, the Rocket 88 could complete the quarter mile in just 17.6 seconds, blistering speed in an era when most family cars struggled to break 20. What made the Rocket 88 so important wasn't just the numbers, though they were impressive, it was the philosophy. Prior to the 88, big engines were reserved for big, heavy cars. Oldsmobile flipped the script by dropping its most advanced engine into its lightest platform, creating a car that was nimble, quick, and exciting to drive. It offered instant throttle response and strong low-end power, which translated to punchy acceleration both off the line and in highway passing situations. It was this responsiveness that made it a favorite among early street racers and a dominant force in stock car racing. In fact, the Rocket 88 made a name for itself on the track before it fully caught on with the public. It dominated NASCAR and other early stock car circuits, proving nearly unbeatable in its class. The car's performance credentials quickly filtered down to the showroom floor, where it became a symbol of innovation and youthful excitement. Combined with the rising popularity of rhythm and blues, the Rocket 88 inspired the 1951 hit song Rocket 88 by Jackie Brinston and Ike Turner, which is often cited as one of the first true rock and roll records, linking the car forever with American pop culture. Stylistically, the 1950 model maintained the rounded, bulbous look typical of the late 1940s, but its performance outpaced its appearance. Chrome accents, a split windshield, and prominent badging gave it a respectable road presence. More importantly, it proved that performance didn't have to come at the expense of practicality. With the 88, Oldsmobile didn't just build a fast car, they helped ignite the performance revolution that would dominate American automotive design for decades to come. Number 21. 1952 Lincoln Capri. Quarter-mile time, 17.5 seconds. The 1952 Lincoln Capri marked a pivotal moment in Lincoln's history, transitioning from a luxury-focused automaker to one that could also stand toe-to-toe with rivals in performance. Introduced as a premium full-size offering, the Capri came equipped with a new 317 cubic and CH overhead valve V8 engine that replaced the aging flathead designs of previous years. Producing 160 horsepower and ample torque, the Capri was more than capable of spirited acceleration for its class, with a quarter-mile time of 17.5 seconds. While that may not seem groundbreaking today, in the early 1950s, it placed the Lincoln among the quicker luxury sedans on American roads. But what truly set the 1952 Capri apart wasn't just its on-paper performance, it was what it accomplished in real-world conditions, particularly in motorsports. Lincoln entered the Capri into the grueling Carrera Panamericana, a brutal multi-day endurance race through the mountains and deserts of Mexico. Against all odds and competing against much lighter European cars, the Capri not only survived, it dominated. Lincolns took the top 3 positions in their class in 1952, with the Capri proving to be fast, reliable, and remarkably durable under extreme conditions. It was a public demonstration that Lincoln, long seen as a quiet luxury brand, could hold its own on the world stage of high-speed competition. The Capri's engineering reflected this blend of performance and durability. Its V8 engine was mated to Lincoln's new Hydra-matic automatic transmission, co-developed with General Motors, which provided smooth yet responsive shifts. The car also featured independent front suspension and a sturdy rear axle that made it stable at high speeds, both on highways and rugged rally stages. For the typical driver, this translated into a confident, powerful ride, quiet and refined, but with enough bite to surprise unsuspecting competitors at a stoplight. Visually, the 1952 Lincoln Capri embraced the post-war design language with clean, flowing lines, modest tail fins, and wide, expansive chrome trim. It offered elegance without ostentation, a deliberate design choice that complemented its dual nature as both a luxury cruiser and performance standout. Available as a coupe, sedan, or convertible, it catered to well-heeled customers who appreciated comfort but also enjoyed a car that could handle itself with authority. In many ways, the Capri laid the groundwork for Lincoln's performance ambitions, combining American V8 power with rally-bred toughness. It wasn't just a good car, it was a turning point, a vehicle that quietly redefined what a full-size American luxury sedan could be when pushed to its limits. Number 20. 1954 Mercury Monteray. Quarter-mile time, 17.4 seconds. The 1954 Mercury Monteray represented a maturing phase for the Mercury brand, carving a space between the more staid Ford and the luxurious Lincoln in the Ford Motor Company lineup. This year, Mercury introduced a new overhead valve V8 engine, something the public had been eagerly awaiting. Replacing the old flathead V8, the new 2.56 cubic and CHY block V8 produced 161 horsepower and gave the Monteray the muscle it had long needed to be taken seriously in the growing performance conversation. With a quarter-mile time of 17.4 seconds, the Monteray emerged as one of the quicker American full-size cars of its time. Though not explicitly marketed as a performance car, the 1954 Monteray benefited from the engineering advancements that came with Ford's new generation of V8s. The Y-block design provided better breathing and higher compression, allowing for more power at higher RPMs while maintaining reliability and smoothness. This improvement gave the Monteray a new sense of urgency on the road, especially when paired with Ford's reliable Merc-O-Matic automatic transmission. Acceleration was linear and surprisingly brisk for a car of its size, offering enough punch to outpace most competitors in traffic and leave a lasting impression at stoplights. The Monteray's ride quality and handling were also improved, thanks to revised suspension, geometry, and a more rigid chassis. Mercury struck a balance between road comfort and composure, offering a driving experience that was both relaxed and engaging. It wasn't designed for hairpin corners, but its confident manners at speed made it a capable cruiser and a willing quarter-mile performer. Drivers found themselves enjoying more than just straight-line bursts. This was a car that felt composed at 60 miles per hour and beyond, capable of long-distance touring without fatigue. Styling was another area where the 1954 Monteray shined. It featured a broad, bold grille, tasteful chrome accents, and a distinctive roofline that gave it presence without resorting to gaudy excess. The interior was upscale, with well-appointed upholstery and stylish dashboard layouts that reflected Mercury's ambition to attract discerning customers. It was a car that bridged the gap between traditional family transport and aspirational motoring. In retrospect, the 1954 Mercury Monteray signaled Mercury's growing confidence. By combining new V8 power, improved dynamics, and upscale design, it hinted at the brand's performance future. It might not have been the loudest or the fastest, but it stood its ground and often surprised those who underestimated what this elegant cruiser could do in a straight line. Number 19. 1953 Cadillac Elorado. Quarter-mile time, 17.3 seconds. The 1953 Cadillac Elorado wasn't just a car, it was a statement of prestige, innovation, and ambition. Introduced as a limited production halo model for Cadillac's 50th anniversary, the Elorado offered a unique blend of high-end luxury and understated performance. Under its sculpted hood sat Cadillac's trusted 331 cubic inch overhead valve V8 engine, delivering a solid 210 horsepower. That power figure, combined with a relatively smooth and aerodynamic body design, allowed the Elorado to run the quarter mile in 17.3 seconds, a notable feat for a full-size luxury convertible dripping with chrome and comfort. This Elorado was not about raw aggression or brute force. Its performance was elegant and composed. Cadillac had spent the post-war years refining its V8, which in 1953 featured a 4-barrel carburetor and high-lift camshaft, giving it broader power delivery and improved responsiveness. Mated to Cadillac's Hydromatic automatic transmission, the powertrain provided seamless acceleration, especially off the line. Though the Elorado was built more for coastal drives and country club entrances, its V8 was capable of delivering the kind of speed that left lesser sedans and coupes trailing in its wake. The car's exclusivity also contributed to its legacy. Only 532 Eldorados were built in 1953, making it one of the rarest Cadillacs of the decade. Its design was distinctive, featuring a wraparound windshield, the first of its kind on a Cadillac, along with unique beltline styling and luxurious interior appointments. Power everything was standard. Windows, seats, steering, and brakes, reflecting Cadillac's mission to offer nothing short of the finest driving experience. Even though it was heavier than most performance-oriented cars of the day, the Eldorado's advanced engineering helped it move with surprising grace. On the road, the Eldorado delivered a driving experience that blended silkiness with strength. It soaked up imperfections with ease while surging forward when called upon, embodying a kind of restrained speed. It didn't shout its performance credentials. It whispered them through confident motion and mechanical finesse. In a decade obsessed with flamboyance and emerging performance, the 1953 Eldorado carved out a unique niche, a luxury car that moved like a gentleman in a finely tailored suit, yet had the heart of a sprinter beneath the surface. It was Cadillac's way of showing the world that luxury and speed weren't mutually exclusive, and in doing so, it helped lay the groundwork for the high-performance luxury coupes that would follow in its wake. Number 18. 1953 Buick Skylark. Quarter-mile time, 17.2 seconds. The 1953 Buick Skylark was far more than a limited edition convertible. It was a celebration of Buick's 50th anniversary and a symbol of American post-war optimism, engineering, prowess, and luxury craftsmanship. With only 1,690 units produced, the Skylark wasn't built for mass appeal. It was aimed at those who demanded exclusivity without compromising on performance. Beneath its elegant exterior, the Skylark was powered by Buick's most advanced engine of the time, a 322 cubic inch nailhead V8, producing 188 horsepower. This engine gave the stylish drop top enough muscle to clock the quarter mile in just 17.2 seconds, placing it among the quicker luxury cars of its era. What made the Skylark so compelling was how it blended opulence with capability. The new Nailhead V8, so named for its relatively small diameter valves and vertical orientation, delivered excellent torque down low, giving the heavy convertible strong off-the-line acceleration. When paired with Buick's twin-turbine Dynaflow automatic transmission, the result was smooth, uninterrupted thrust, ideal for effortless cruising or surprising bursts of speed. The performance was dignified, never brash, and matched the car's upscale character. The Skylark styling was nothing short of breathtaking. It featured a chopped windshield, custom-built wheel wells to accommodate Kelsey Hayes wire wheels, and elongated rear quarter panels that gave it a sleek, almost European appearance. Buick lowered the body by several inches compared to standard convertibles, giving the Skylark a ground-hugging stance that enhanced both its looks and its aerodynamics. Every exterior detail, from the bullet-style bumper guards to the subtle chrome accents, was meticulously crafted to evoke sophistication. Inside, the Skylark didn't hold back. It featured power windows, power seats, and a power-operated soft top, all standard. Leather upholstery, a sophisticated dashboard layout, and full instrumentation created an environment as luxurious as any Cadillac of the day. The car wasn't just about looking good, it was about feeling good behind the wheel. And thanks to that powerful V8 and refined suspension tuning, it offered a confident, controlled ride that didn't shy away from high-speed travel. The 1953 Buick Skylark was a milestone, a car that marked Buick's golden anniversary by demonstrating that performance, luxury, and style could exist in harmony. It wasn't merely a showpiece, it had substance to match its beauty. With its quarter-mile time of 17.2 seconds, the Skylark proved that elegance could move quickly and leave a lasting impression. Number 17. 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air V8. Quarter-mile time, 17.1 seconds. The 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air marked a seismic shift not just for Chevrolet, but for the entire American auto industry. With its introduction came the debut of the now legendary small-block 265 cubic inch V8 engine, an engineering marvel that would go on to define Chevrolet's performance legacy for decades. Before 1955, Chevrolet was not considered a contender in the performance arena. That all changed when the Bel Air hit the streets. With up to 180 horsepower, depending on carburetor setup, and a curb weight that was lighter than many of its full-size rivals, the Bel Air 5.8 could sprint through the quarter mile in just 17.1 seconds, making it one of the most accessible performance cars of its time. The small block V8 was a revelation. Compact, lightweight, and designed with a high overlap camshaft and efficient combustion chambers, it delivered torque and responsiveness that belied its displacement. Chevrolet also offered multiple configurations, from a 2-barrel carburetor for efficiency to a 4-barrel power pack option that gave the engine serious punch. Paired with either a 3-speed manual or the smooth Powerglide automatic, the Bel Air offered flexibility for drivers who wanted both everyday drivability and surprising performance. But the 1955 Bel Air was more than just a mechanical marvel, it was also a design icon. The new shoebox styling, with its clean slab sides, minimal fender bulges, and tasteful chrome accents, gave the car a modern, upscale look that instantly resonated with the public. It looked faster, sleeker, and more sophisticated than the Chevys that came before it. Inside, the Bel Air boasted a colorful, high-quality interior with a full-width dashboard, improved ergonomics, and attention to comfort that elevated it from basic transportation to aspirational cruiser. The Bel Air's performance credentials weren't just theoretical either. It quickly became a favorite among young enthusiasts, hot rodders, and street racers. Its small block engine was highly tunable, and aftermarket parts became widely available, laying the foundation for the performance culture that exploded in the late 1950s and 1960s. Even in stock form, however, the Bel Air offered a near-perfect blend of style, speed, and value. In retrospect, the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air was a turning point, a car that redefined expectations for affordable performance. It democratized speed, making V8 power available to the masses without sacrificing refinement. That 17.1-second quarter-mile time wasn't just a number, it was the sound of the future roaring to life. Number 16. 1955 Packard Caribbean. Quarter-mile time, 17.0 seconds. The 1955 Packard Caribbean was a last hurrah of grandeur from a storied American marque struggling to retain its place in an increasingly competitive marketplace. Once the pinnacle of luxury and engineering excellence, Packard faced mounting pressure from the Big Three by the mid-1950s. In response, it unveiled one of its most ambitious models, the Caribbean, a limited production luxury convertible that fused high style with formidable performance. Beneath its elegant, tri-tone paintwork and opulent trim sat a brand new 352 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering 275 horsepower. With a quarter-mile time of 17.0 seconds, the Caribbean wasn't just about show, it had plenty of go. The new V8 was a critical development for Packard. Until 1954, the company had relied on straight 8 engines, while competitors had already embraced modern V8 technology. The 1955 engine was a long overdue leap forward. Featuring a 4-barrel carburetor and high compression ratio, it gave the Caribbean a muscular feel on the road. Coupled with Packard's twin Ultramatic automatic transmission, improved for smoother and more responsive shifts, the big convertible surged forward with authority. Its performance was especially impressive, considering its near 2-ton curb weight and plush build. But the Caribbean wasn't just about mechanicals, it was a rolling showcase of handcrafted luxury. Each model was carefully assembled and featured lavish interiors with leather upholstery, power, everything, and a reversible seat cushion design with cloth on one side and leather on the other. The push-button electric window and seat controls, along with a power convertible top, were standard. In terms of comfort and innovation, Packard left nothing off the table. The torsion-level suspension system, introduced in 1955, automatically leveled the ride depending on passenger or cargo load, improving handling and stability, an engineering marvel for its day. Stylistically, the 1955 Caribbean stood apart. With its lavish chrome detailing, pronounced rear fins, and exotic 2- and 3-tone color schemes, it exuded mid-century opulence. Every Caribbean looked like a concept car come to life. It was the kind of automobile you didn't just drive, you made an entrance in it. Yet beneath its glamour lay genuine performance that could hold its own in a straight line with much sportier cars. The Packard Caribbean was a final flash of brilliance, a confident expression of what American luxury and power could look like when executed without compromise. Its 17.0 second quarter-mile time was more than respectable. It was a testament to Packard's unwillingness to go quietly into history. Number 15, 1952 Hudson Hornet. Quarter-mile time, 16.9 seconds. The 1952 Hudson Hornet wasn't just a fast car, it was a legend, born on both the street and the racetrack. At a time when V8s were beginning to dominate the conversation, the Hornet did something remarkable. It used an inline-six engine to conquer quarter miles, win races, and earn national fame. At the heart of the Hornet was Hudson's high-compression 308 cubic inch flathead six-cylinder engine, the largest and most powerful straight six in the industry at the time. With the twin H-Power option, dual carburetors, and improved breathing, the engine produced 170 horsepower, and later versions pushed that number even higher. In factory form, the Hornet could cover the quarter mile in an impressive 16.9 seconds, which made it one of the fastest full-size American cars of its day. What made the Hornet truly special was how Hudson built the car around performance without compromising practicality. Its revolutionary step-down chassis design lowered the car's center of gravity by integrating the floor pan between the frame rails rather than on top of them. This gave the Hornet superior handling characteristics, unheard of among heavy sedans of the early 1950s. The result was a car that didn't just go fast in a straight line, it could corner with surprising confidence. While most American cars of the time felt floaty and vague at speed, the Hornet remained planted and precise. Nowhere was this more evident than on the racetrack. The Hornet dominated NASCAR in the early 1950s, with drivers like Marshall, Teague, and Herb Thomas using its raw power and handling advantage to rack up a staggering number of victories. From 1951 to 1954, Hudson cars, primarily Hornets, won 66 NASCAR races, giving them more wins than any other manufacturer during that time. This success not only solidified the Hornet's reputation, but it also made it one of the earliest examples of a true race-bred production car available to the public. Visually, the Hornet was understated, with smooth curves, modest chrome, and a rounded roofline that gave it a streamlined, almost aerodynamic look. It didn't need flamboyant fins or oversized grills, it let its performance do the talking. For buyers in the early 1950s who wanted speed, stability, and motorsport credibility wrapped in a family-friendly package, the Hudson Hornet was unmatched. It was the muscle car before muscle cars, and its 16.9 second quarter-mile time was just one of many ways it proved its worth. Number 14, 1953 Oldsmobile Super 88. Quarter-mile time, 16.8 seconds. The 1953 Oldsmobile Super 88 was the continuation of a legacy that had begun just a few years earlier with the groundbreaking Rocket 88. Building upon that momentum, the Super 88 combined the same revolutionary Rocket V8 performance with added refinement, more aggressive styling, and a bolder presence on the road. Under the hood was the 303 cubic inch Rocket V8, producing 165 horsepower, up from previous iterations, thanks to improved compression and carburation. This potent combination allowed the Super 88 to rip through the quarter mile in 16.8 seconds, a time that placed it firmly in the upper ranks of early 1950s American performance cars. The Rocket engine remained the centerpiece of Oldsmobile's identity, and for good reason. With its overhead valve design, efficient combustion chambers, and robust torque delivery, it was one of the most advanced and reliable V8s available to the average buyer. The Super 88 didn't just accelerate quickly, it did so with confidence and smoothness, especially when paired with Oldsmobile's refined hydromatic automatic transmission. This setup made the car deceptively quick in stoplight-to-stoplight scenarios, while also being comfortable enough for long highway cruising. The 1953 Super 88 wasn't just about speed, it also brought fresh styling that helped reinforce Oldsmobile's image as a brand for the upwardly mobile. Its wide grille, sleek lines, and subtle chrome accents gave it a dynamic and contemporary look. Compared to its competitors, the Super 88 struck a balance between conservative luxury and forward-thinking modernism. Inside, it offered roomy seating, quality materials, and one of the more advanced dashboards of the time, reflecting the era's growing focus on driver-oriented design. Importantly, the Super 88 carried with it a reputation earned on both the street and the track. While Hudson's Hornet had its NASCAR dominance, the Oldsmobile Super 88 was a common sight at local drag strips and street races across America. Its power-to-weight ratio, durable drivetrain, and widespread availability of performance parts made it a favorite among hot rodders and speed enthusiasts alike. It was a car you could buy off the lot and immediately feel like you were behind something special. In many ways, the 1953 Super 88 symbolized the growing appetite for accessible American performance. It offered a glimpse into the future, one where ordinary people could buy a family sedan that just happened to be faster than nearly everything else on the road. It was bold, fast, and unmistakably rocket-powered. Number 13. 1955 Pontiac Star Chief. Quarter-mile time, 16.7 seconds. The 1955 Pontiac Star Chief marked a critical turning point for the Pontiac brand, a bold leap into the performance era that would eventually define it. Before 1955, Pontiacs were seen as reliable but uninspiring machines, often overshadowed by their Chevrolet and Oldsmobile siblings. That all changed with the introduction of the brand's very first V8 engine, a 287 cubic inch overhead valve design that brought new life to Pontiac's largest and most prestigious model. Producing up to 180 horsepower in its top power pack form, this new V8 gave the Star Chief the muscle to complete the quarter mile in just 16.7 seconds, a significant achievement for a full-size car with luxury leanings. Pontiac didn't just stop at adding a new engine. The entire car was redesigned from the ground up with a longer, lower, and sleeker body style that carried a more modern and athletic stance. It shared much of its underpinnings with the newly redesigned Chevrolet, but Pontiac added enough unique touches, both mechanical and cosmetic, to give the Star Chief a personality all its own. The new chassis offered a more stable ride at high speeds, and with the new V8 mated to a hydromatic automatic transmission, the Star Chief delivered smooth, confident acceleration that finally put Pontiac on the performance map. What truly set the 1955 Star Chief apart, though, was how it packaged power and prestige. The car was filled with luxury features for the time: a wraparound windshield, optional two-tone paint schemes, chrome detailing, and a high-grade interior with a redesigned instrument panel. It was a car aimed at buyers who wanted more than basic transportation. They wanted presence, power, and pride. The Star Chief delivered all three, with a distinctive, illuminated Indian head hood ornament that made it unmistakably Pontiac. The Star Chief's strong performance wasn't just appreciated by consumers, it also became a symbol within Pontiac itself. The success of the car and its new engine spurred a cultural shift within the company, leading to a new focus on power, youth appeal, and motorsport involvement. It planted the seeds for what would become Pontiac's muscle car dominance in the 1960s. But in 1955, the Star Chief stood tall on its own merit, a luxurious full-size cruiser with the heart of a performer. In retrospect, the 1955 Star Chief was the car that gave Pontiac its swagger. It was the first to prove that the brand could deliver thrilling acceleration and visual flair, and it did so in just 16.7 seconds. Number 12. 1956 Dodge D500. Quarter mile time, 16.6 seconds. The 1956 Dodge D500 was a bold declaration that Dodge was ready to compete in the rapidly growing performance market. At a time when muscle cars were still a decade away, the D500 emerged as one of the earliest examples of a factory-built performance package aimed at speed-hungry drivers. Equipped with a high-output 315 cubic inch Hemi V8, the D500 produced an impressive 260 horsepower, enough to push the car down the quarter mile in just 16.6 seconds. For a full-size sedan with luxury features and family room dimensions, that kind of acceleration was eyebrow-raising in 1956. At the heart of the D500 was the legendary Red Ram Hemi V8, tuned specifically for performance. It featured a solid lifter camshaft, a 4-barrel Carter carburetor, and a higher compression ratio than its more sedate sibling. This engine didn't just generate numbers, it delivered broad torque and a willingness to rev, giving the D500 spirited acceleration and a distinctive exhaust bark that hinted at its aggressive nature. When paired with either the standard heavy-duty 3-speed manual or the optional PowerFlight automatic transmission, the D500 offered a thrilling driving experience that was rare in an era still dominated by sedate cruisers. To handle the extra power, Dodge didn't just beef up the engine, they gave the D500 a complete performance makeover. The suspension was upgraded with stiffer springs, improved shocks, and heavier-duty brakes borrowed from Dodge's police package. The result was a car that could not only go fast in a straight line, but also maintain control and confidence at higher speeds. This focus on handling and braking set the D500 apart from many of its contemporaries, which often sacrificed stability for straight-line speed. Visually, the D500 was understated yet purposeful. Most cars equipped with the package retained the standard Royal or Coronet bodywork, but subtle badging and optional two-tone paint hinted at the performance lurking underneath. Inside, the car offered a spacious, well-appointed cabin typical of mid-50s American sedans, blending comfort with capability. For many buyers, this combination of brute force and everyday usability made the D500 an irresistible proposition. More than just a fast Dodge, the D500 laid the groundwork for the brand's future and performance. It showed that Dodge could build cars that not only looked the part but also delivered thrilling quarter-mile results. With a 16.6-second run, it proved that raw speed could be engineered straight from the factory floor, long before the muscle car era officially began. Number 11. 1954 Buick Century. Quarter-mile time, 16.5 seconds. The 1954 Buick Century was a car born from a clever and deliberate formula. Take the lightest body in the Buick lineup and combine it with the division's most powerful engine. The result was one of the earliest and most memorable factory hot rods of the 1950s, earning the nickname the Banker's Hot Rod. With its 322 cubic inch nailhead V8 delivering 200 horsepower, the Century had enough muscle to sprint through the quarter mile in just 16.5 seconds, a figure that placed it among the fastest full-size American cars of the time. What made the Century so remarkable wasn't just its power, it was the power-to-weight ratio. Buick engineers borrowed the smaller body shell from the entry-level Special Series and dropped in the bigger engine from the upscale Roadmaster. This combination made the Century lighter and nimbler than its more luxurious siblings, giving it an edge in both acceleration and handling. The Nailhead V8, known for its compact valve arrangement and high torque output, delivered strong low-end power that translated to brisk takeoffs and impressive mid-range passing ability. It was an engine designed not just for numbers, but for real-world driving satisfaction. Buick paired this engine with its reliable twin-turbine Dynaflow automatic transmission, a smooth but unique gearbox that emphasized seamless acceleration over harsh gear changes. Though not as quick off the line as a manual setup, the Dynaflow's fluid coupling allowed the Century to build speed with an elegant surge rather than a jarring leap, appropriate for a car that blended performance with refinement. Stylistically, the Century wore the sharp, jet-age styling cues of mid-1950s America. Sweeping chrome side spears, a prominent waterfall grille, and optional two-tone paint schemes gave the car an unmistakable presence. Inside, it offered a well-appointed cabin with broad seats, quality materials, and thoughtful instrumentation, making it a comfortable place to enjoy both spirited drives and daily commutes. The 1954 Century wasn't just fast, it was balanced, stylish, and well-engineered. It demonstrated that performance didn't have to come at the cost of luxury or practicality. Buick had crafted a machine that could quietly humble rivals at a stoplight while maintaining an air of executive class. For buyers who wanted the thrill of a fast car without sacrificing dignity, the Century delivered, proving its 16.5-second quarter-mile time was backed by brains, brawn, and Buick's trademark polish. Number 10. 1956 Lincoln Continental Mark II. Quarter-mile time, 16.4 seconds. The 1956 Lincoln Continental Mark II was never designed to be a muscle car or a hot rod. It was built to be the most elegant, exclusive, and expensive American car of its era. And yet, buried beneath its stately lines and hand-finished bodywork was a surprisingly capable powertrain. With a massive 368 cubic inch V8 engine producing 285 horsepower, the Mark II could quietly cover the quarter mile in just 16.4 seconds, putting it on par with many of the performance-oriented cars of the mid-1950s. It achieved this while wrapped in a package of unmatched refinement and opulence. The Continental Mark II was a standalone statement, so exclusive that it wasn't even branded as a Lincoln, but simply as Continental, reviving the prestige of the original 1940s Continental models. Ford Motor Company created a separate Continental division specifically for this car, and no expense was spared. Every Mark II was hand-assembled with painstaking attention to detail, and its price reflected that level of craftsmanship. It cost more than a Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud in 1956. But despite its focus on luxury, the car's performance was far from an afterthought. The heart of the Mark II was a specially selected and balanced version of Lincoln's 368 V8, mated to a 3-speed turbo-drive automatic transmission. The engine was refined, but it was also powerful, delivering its output with smooth authority. Acceleration was effortless, with ample torque making highway merging and overtaking feel easy despite the car's 5,000-pound curb weight. The ride quality was equally majestic, with a sophisticated suspension setup that absorbed bumps while maintaining composure at high speeds. The Mark II glided rather than surged, but its performance was real and silently formidable. Visually, the car was a masterpiece of restraint and proportion. Unlike the finned and flashy Detroit styling trends of the era, the Mark II featured clean lines, minimal chrome, and a long, elegant hood that hinted at its power. Inside, the cabin was finished in the finest leathers and materials available, with nearly every feature: air conditioning, power windows, and premium radio systems, either standard or available. No two cars were exactly alike, and each was built to a level of quality unmatched in American production at the time. Though the Continental Mark II was produced for only 2 years, its legacy remains iconic. It was a luxury car that just happened to be fast, a rolling contradiction in the best way possible. Quietly confident, impeccably built, and unexpectedly quick, it proved that refined elegance and quarter-mile speed could exist in perfect harmony. Number 9. 1955 Ford Thunderbird. Quarter-mile time, 16.3 seconds. The 1955 Ford Thunderbird wasn't just Ford's answer to the Chevrolet Corvette, it was a completely new category of automobile. Dubbed a personal luxury car, the Thunderbird introduced a concept that blended sporty performance with upscale comfort and style. With its 292 cubic inch Y-block V8 under the hood, producing 193 horsepower in standard trim and up to 198 with the optional Ford-O-Matic setup, the Thunderbird could sprint through the quarter mile in a brisk 16.3 seconds. That made it one of the quickest Fords of the decade, and a vehicle that redefined what performance could look like, wrapped in elegance. The Thunderbird was never meant to be a track-bred sports car. Unlike the bare-bones Corvette of the time, the T-Bird was civilized, well-appointed, and built to appeal to a broader market. Its V8 delivered ample torque and a smooth power curve, offering strong acceleration with minimal fuss. Whether equipped with a manual transmission or Ford's popular automatic, the Thunderbird launched with confidence, thanks in part to a low curb weight of around 3,100 pounds, light for a V8 car in the mid-1950s. This allowed it to stay nimble without sacrificing creature comforts. Ford didn't just focus on performance. The Thunderbird's design was a showstopper, with a low-slung profile, hood scoop, and round headlamps giving it a sleek, jet-age flair. The egg crate grille and stylish tail fins added to its visual impact, while the optional removable hardtop gave it dual character: open-air cruiser by day, hardtop coupe by night. It came standard with features like telescopic steering, full instrumentation, and optional power accessories, making it far more luxurious than any traditional sports car. Inside, the cabin was equally well thought out. Bucket seats, engine-turned dash trim, and a driver-focused layout gave it a sporty feel without veering into austerity. The car exuded charm and sophistication, attributes that, combined with its performance, helped it outsell the Corvette by a massive margin in 1955. Where the Corvette struggled to find its footing, the Thunderbird soared. Ultimately, the 1955 Ford Thunderbird succeeded because it offered the best of both worlds: enough V8 power to satisfy performance enthusiasts and enough luxury to please the stylish urbanite. Its 16.3-second quarter-mile time was more than just quick, it was symbolic of a car that refused to be categorized. The T-Bird wasn't a sports car. It wasn't a cruiser. It was something entirely new, and America fell in love with it. Number 8. 1958 Chrysler 300D. Quarter-mile time, 16.2 seconds. The 1958 Chrysler 300D represented the fourth chapter in Chrysler's legendary letter car series, and it carried forward the bold spirit of its predecessors with more power, more luxury, and more raw presence than ever before. It was not just a high-end coupe, it was the muscle car before muscle cars existed, a thunderous blend of prestige and speed. Beneath its long, sculpted hood lived a 392 cubic inch firepower Hemi V8, producing up to 380 horsepower when equipped with optional dual 4-barrel carburetors. That fire-breathing setup launched the nearly 4,300-pound behemoth through the quarter mile in just 16.2 seconds, placing it among the fastest American production cars of the decade. Performance was the very DNA of the 300D. Chrysler engineered it not only to go fast in a straight line, but to dominate on long, open highways. The Hemi V8 was a marvel of power and durability, known for its hemispherical combustion chambers that optimized airflow and combustion efficiency. Even at low RPMs, the engine pulled like a freight train, and it never ran out of breath as the speedometer climbed. Paired with Chrysler's 3-speed TorqueFlite automatic transmission, gear shifts were seamless and torque delivery was relentless. This was a car built to cruise comfortably at 120 miles per hour and then keep going. The 300D also stood out for its suspension and handling prowess, particularly for a car of its size and weight. Chrysler used heavy-duty torsion bars in front and leaf springs in the rear, giving the car stability in high-speed maneuvers while maintaining a plush, controlled ride. The brakes were among the most powerful available, and the car came standard with power steering and power-assisted drums, which made piloting the 300D feel less like wrestling a battleship and more like guiding a jet. Visually, the 1958 model was perhaps the most dramatic of the series to date. It wore sweeping tailfins, a bold egg crate grille, and an abundance of chrome trim, exuding both elegance and menace. Inside, it featured rich leather upholstery, push-button transmission controls, and a dashboard that looked like it belonged in a fighter cockpit. Every inch of the 300D communicated its role as a high-speed executive express. The Chrysler 300D was not for the faint of heart or light of wallet, but for those who wanted luxury, exclusivity, and brute speed all in one, it was unmatched. At 16.2 seconds over the quarter mile, it proved that brawn and beauty could coexist, roaring down the strip in full formal wear. Number 7. 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser. Quarter mile time, 16.1 seconds. The 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser was as much a technological showcase as it was a bold styling experiment, an audacious expression of what American cars could be in the space age. Designed to turn heads and conquer highways, the Turnpike Cruiser came equipped with Mercury's top-of-the-line 368 cubic inch V8 engine, borrowed from Lincoln and tuned to produce 290 horsepower. That power plant, combined with a reasonably aerodynamic body and a 3-speed Merc-O-Matic automatic transmission, propelled the car through the quarter mile in a swift 16.1 seconds. For a luxury-laden cruiser weighing well over 2 tons, that was a serious statement. The engine itself was a marvel of mid-50s engineering. Fed by a 4-barrel carburetor and boasting a robust torque curve, the 368 V8 delivered its power with smooth authority. What made the Turnpike Cruiser particularly impressive was how it balanced performance with refinement. While other cars with similar power plants delivered brute force, the Mercury provided linear, controlled acceleration that made high-speed travel feel effortless. This made it especially suited for the newly constructed interstate highways, which inspired its name. But what really set the Turnpike Cruiser apart was its futuristic flair. Its styling was aggressive, flamboyant, and unmistakably 50s. A compound curved windshield, tail fins, and twin radio antennas all contributed to its bold silhouette. The breezeway rear window, an electronically retractable reverse slant window built into the rear roof pillar, offered a unique mix of ventilation and novelty. It was just one of many forward-thinking features that made the car feel like a mobile concept vehicle. Inside, the Turnpike Cruiser pushed the boundaries of mid-century luxury and gadgetry. It boasted a keyboard control transmission selector, a deep dish steering wheel, and a memory power seat that automatically returned to its last position. There was even a speed warning indicator and a trip computer, technologies nearly unheard of in 1957. With push-button everything, chrome aplenty, and lounge-like seating, it felt like a rolling living room wrapped in rocket-age bravado. Despite its size and visual drama, the Turnpike Cruiser was no slouch on the road. It proved that luxury didn't have to mean lethargy, and performance didn't have to sacrifice style. With a 16.1-second quarter-mile time, it stood proudly among the fastest American cars of its time. And while its looks may have divided opinions, its presence was undeniable, a gleaming, forward-looking machine that delivered speed with a flair few cars could match. Number 6. 1957 Studebaker Golden Hawk, supercharged. Quarter-mile time, 16.0 seconds. The 1957 Studebaker Golden Hawk was a bold, unconventional performance machine that defied expectations and corporate boundaries. At a time when most American automakers were fixated on size, fins, and flamboyance, Studebaker, then a smaller, independent manufacturer, was quietly building one of the fastest cars in the country. The Golden Hawk had already made a name for itself in 1956 by stuffing a massive Packard 3.5.2 cubic and CH-5.8 into a mid-size body. But with Packard engines no longer available in 1957, Studebaker found a new way to chase speed by supercharging its own 289 cubic inch V8. The result was a dramatic return to form, producing 275 horsepower and achieving a 16.0-second quarter-mile time, shocking for a two-door luxury coupe from a company not known for raw performance. The key to the Golden Hawk's performance lay in the McCulloch supercharger bolted to its 289 V8. This centrifugal blower fed compressed air into the carburetor, increasing the engine's efficiency and output without requiring a massive increase in displacement. The result was instant throttle response and strong mid-range power, making the Golden Hawk feel quick in any driving condition. Despite its relatively conservative engine size compared to its big three rivals, the supercharged setup gave the Golden Hawk the muscle to hang with and often outrun cars with much larger V8s. This performance was wrapped in a distinctive and daring design. The Golden Hawk featured an aggressive stance, a long hood, and short rear deck proportions that hinted at its capability. Its fiberglass tail fins, borrowed from the 1956 model, added visual drama without excessive weight. The contrasting roof paint and unique grille treatment gave the car an unmistakable presence, while the bright Golden Hawk scripts and badges reminded everyone that this wasn't an ordinary Studebaker. Inside, the cabin was spacious and upscale, with aircraft-inspired instrumentation, two-tone upholstery, and options like power steering, power brakes, and even a tachometer, features that further emphasized the car's performance intent. The Golden Hawk wasn't just fast, it was stylish, usable, and loaded with attitude. In many ways, the 1957 Golden Hawk was a high-water mark for Studebaker, showcasing the brand's engineering creativity and willingness to challenge industry norms. It proved that with the right tuning and vision, even an underdog could build a car that could run with the best. With a 16.0-second quarter-mile time, it earned its place in performance history, not just as a Studebaker, but as a true American muscle pioneer. Number 5. 1957 Ford Thunderbird. Quarter mile time, 16.0 seconds. The 1957 Ford Thunderbird represented the final evolution of the first-generation T-Bird and is widely regarded as the most refined and performance-capable version of the original personal luxury car. While the 1955 model introduced the concept and the 1956 version made practical improvements, it was the 57 that truly embraced both power and style. Sporting a 312 cubic inch Y-block V8 as its top engine option, the 1957 Thunderbird could generate up to 300 horsepower when ordered with the E-Code dual 4-barrel carburetor setup. Even in its more common single 4-barrel configuration, the T-Bird produced around 245 to 270 horsepower and could complete the quarter mile in a flat 16.0 seconds, placing it squarely in performance car territory. The increased power wasn't just a fluke, it was part of a broader performance strategy. The 312 V8 featured improved internals and a higher compression ratio, giving it more torque and better responsiveness. Whether paired with the 3-speed manual or the Ford-O-Matic automatic transmission, the Thunderbird delivered brisk acceleration with a smooth, confident demeanor. The car's relatively low weight for the era and compact size made it feel even quicker than its specs suggested, particularly in contrast to the massive luxury cruisers dominating American roads. Visually, the 1957 Thunderbird received subtle yet significant styling updates that made it more aggressive and sophisticated. A longer rear deck, restyled front bumper and grille, and more pronounced tail fins gave it a sleeker, more athletic profile. The car looked faster, and it was. The optional porthole hardtop remained a distinctive touch, while new wheel covers, paint options, and interior trims added to the Thunderbird's premium image. Inside, the cabin was as much about comfort as it was about style. Full instrumentation, padded dash surfaces, and upscale two-tone upholstery gave the interior a cockpit-like feel without sacrificing luxury. The Thunderbird came with features such as power windows, power seats, and even signal-seeking radios, advanced for the time. It wasn't just a car for performance enthusiasts. It was a lifestyle statement for those who appreciated power, design, and refinement. By 1957, the Thunderbird had fully evolved into an icon. It wasn't a raw sports car like the Corvette, nor a pure luxury cruiser. It was its own unique blend of both. With its 16.0-second quarter-mile capability, the 57 T-Bird confirmed that Ford could deliver speed, style, and sophistication in one cohesive, unforgettable package. Number 4. 1955 Chrysler 300. Quarter mile time, 16.0 seconds. The 1955 Chrysler 300, often referred to as the C300, was a seismic event in the world of American performance cars. It wasn't just Chrysler's first letter series car, it was the birth of the muscle luxury formula, decades before the term existed. Built from carefully selected parts across the Chrysler lineup, the C300 wasn't merely fast for its time. It was the fastest American production car of 1,955. With its 331 cubic inch firepower Hemi V8 churning out an astonishing 300 horsepower, it roared through the quarter mile in just 16.0 seconds. This was a car that made no apologies and needed no embellishment. It was pure, unapologetic power wrapped in elegance. What made the Chrysler 300 especially groundbreaking was that its horsepower figure wasn't just a marketing gimmick. It was SAE certified, a rarity at the time. The engine used a race-inspired solid lifter camshaft, dual 4-barrel carburetors, and high-flow exhaust manifolds. This was a detuned NASCAR motor dropped into a luxury coupe body, and it showed. The torque delivery was immediate, the power band wide, and the performance unrelenting. While many cars of the era struggled for breath above 80 miles per hour, the C300 thrived, capable of sustained high-speed cruising with ease. Chrysler didn't stop at the engine. The C300 came with heavy-duty suspension, firmer shocks, stiffer springs, and large drum brakes borrowed from the Imperial line. This made it one of the best-handling American cars of its time, capable of controlling its power rather than simply unleashing it. It wasn't nimble in the European sense, but it was confident and planted, traits that served it well on the track. In fact, the C300 dominated NASCAR's Grand National Series in 1955, winning 37 races and securing the championship. It was as formidable on the circuit as it was on the street. Stylistically, the 1955 300 was understated but handsome. Based on the New Yorker hardtop body, it featured a mesh grille reminiscent of European GT cars, minimal badging, and subtle two-tone paint schemes. The cabin was all business. Bucket seats, a full set of gauges, and high-quality materials emphasized its dual nature as both a luxury cruiser and a performance machine. The C300 didn't just make Chrysler cool, it set a new standard. It proved that American performance could be refined, luxurious, and devastatingly fast. With its 16.0 second quarter-mile time, it didn't just compete, it led the pack, marking the dawn of a new era in American motoring. Number 3. 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk. Quarter-mile time, 15.7 seconds. The 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk was an audacious machine, part luxury coupe, part muscle car, and entirely unlike anything else on the road that year. While its bold styling and chrome-laden presence demanded attention, it was what lay under the hood that truly defined the Golden Hawk. Studebaker made a daring move by shoehorning a massive 352 cubic inch Packard 5.8 into its relatively lightweight coupe body. With 275 horsepower and gobs of torque, the result was one of the quickest American cars of the decade. The Golden Hawk rocketed through the quarter mile in just 15.7 seconds, blistering for 1956 and a time that rivaled or beat many V8 sports cars and performance sedans of its era. The Packard 5.8 was a beast of an engine. Originally developed for Packard's luxury lineup, it was designed with refinement in mind, but had the raw output to deliver neck-snapping acceleration when placed in a smaller, nimbler chassis. In the Golden Hawk, it transformed the car into a rocket. Though it wasn't supercharged like the 1957 model that followed, the naturally aspirated engine provided plenty of grunt thanks to its large displacement and high torque output. Paired with either a column-shifted 3-speed manual or an optional Packard twin Ultramatic automatic, the Golden Hawk was capable of effortless highway cruising and surprisingly quick off-the-line launches. Performance aside, the Golden Hawk made a statement with its looks. It featured a long hood, short deck design that hinted at the power it contained, and a unique fiberglass rear fin assembly that gave it a dramatic and futuristic appearance. The bold two-tone paint schemes, hood scoop, and Golden Hawk emblem on the grille reinforced its performance pedigree while maintaining a sense of style and sophistication. It was a car that looked fast, standing still, and it backed up those looks with real-world speed. Inside, the cabin struck a balance between sport and luxury. With full instrumentation, quality upholstery, and optional amenities like power steering and brakes, the Golden Hawk wasn't a stripped-down racer. It was a comfortable grand tourer that just happened to be ferociously quick. Its size made it practical, but its engine made it unforgettable. The 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk was proof that independent automakers could still play and win in the performance game. With its impressive 15.7 second quarter-mile time, it carved out a legacy as one of the true American performance legends of the 1950s, setting the stage for what would become the muscle car revolution. Number 2. 1956 Chevrolet Corvette. Quarter-mile time, 15.7 seconds. The 1956 Chevrolet Corvette marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of America's sports car. After a shaky debut in 1953 and a lukewarm reception for the 1954 and 1955 models, the Corvette needed more than a facelift. It needed performance credibility. Chevrolet responded by giving the 1956 Corvette a major redesign and, more importantly, real power under the hood. Powered by a 265 cubic inch small block V8 with optional dual 4-barrel carburetors, the Corvette could produce up to 225 horsepower, enough to propel it through the quarter mile in just 15.7 seconds. Finally, the Corvette wasn't just a pretty face, it had the muscle to match. The transformation began with the heart of the car, Chevrolet's now legendary small block V8. This engine was light, compact, and capable of delivering strong, reliable performance. With options ranging from a single 4-barrel to the more aggressive dual 4-barrel setup, buyers could tailor the Corvette's output to their desires. In its most powerful configuration for 1956, it became a true street performer with crisp throttle response and impressive acceleration that helped it shake off the perception of being a style-over-substance roadster. Chevrolet didn't stop at the engine bay. The 1956 model featured a significant redesign that introduced a sleeker, more muscular body with scalloped side coves, integrated door handles, and improved aerodynamics. It also added the option of a removable hardtop alongside the soft convertible roof, making it more versatile in different weather conditions. The car's overall look was more aggressive and performance-focused, aligning it visually with its newfound capabilities. Inside, the cockpit was Spartan but driver-oriented. Bucket seats, a 3-spoke steering wheel, and a full set of gauges kept the driver informed and engaged. While luxury wasn't the primary focus, the Corvette still offered enough refinement to be comfortable during longer drives. And with its nimble handling, thanks to a relatively short wheelbase and improved suspension tuning, the 1956 Corvette felt agile and responsive on winding roads, not just quick in a straight line. The 1956 Corvette was a turning point. It proved that the Corvette could be a legitimate sports car, not just a fashion accessory. With a 15.7-second quarter-mile time and newfound respect among enthusiasts, it laid the groundwork for what would become one of America's most iconic performance nameplates. It was sleek, fast, and finally serious about performance, and it never looked back. Number 1. 1957 Chevrolet Corvette, fuel-injected, 4-speed manual. Quarter-mile time, 14.2 seconds. At the pinnacle of 1950s, American performance stood the 1957 Chevrolet Corvette equipped with a fuel-injected 283 cubic inch V8 and 4-speed manual transmission, a configuration that not only defined the era but changed the trajectory of performance cars forever. This wasn't just the fastest Corvette of the decade, it was the fastest American production car of the 1950s, clocking an incredible 14.2 seconds in the quarter mile. That figure placed it firmly in territory usually reserved for purpose-built race cars, yet it was fully street legal and came straight from the factory floor. The beating heart of this Corvette was its revolutionary Fueli engine, the first mass-produced mechanical fuel injection system offered in an American production car. Producing a full 283 horsepower from 283 cubic inches, this engine achieved the then legendary 1 horsepower per cubic inch milestone, a benchmark that would come to define performance excellence for decades. Unlike carbureted systems, the Rochester mechanical fuel injection system delivered precise fuel delivery across the power band, giving the V8 a sharper throttle response, higher rev capability, and better overall efficiency. When mated to the newly optional close-ratio 4-speed manual transmission, the Corvette became a weapon in the hands of a skilled driver, accelerating with relentless urgency and offering tight control through every shift. Beyond raw speed, the 1957 Corvette's handling prowess had matured significantly. Chassis stiffness had been improved, and the lightweight fiberglass body helped keep the car agile and responsive. The independent front suspension, solid rear axle, and available positive-traction rear differential gave it traction and poise, whether launching from a standstill or carving up a canyon road. It was fast in a straight line and surprisingly competent through the curves, a true sports car in both form and function. Visually, the 1957 Corvette was a rolling work of art. The dual headlamps, scalloped side coves, and modest tailfins struck a perfect balance between mid-century flair and aerodynamic intent. Inside, the cockpit featured bucket seats, a 3-spoke steering wheel, and a full-gauge cluster designed with the driver in mind. It was purposeful, sporty, and confident, just like the car itself. In retrospect, the 1957 Corvette with fuel injection and a 4-speed wasn't just a fast car, it was a technological milestone. It symbolized the arrival of American performance on the world stage, a car that could run with Europe's best and do it with unmistakable style and muscle. At 14.2 seconds, it was the ultimate expression of what the Corvette and American engineering could achieve in the 1950s.